Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall.
Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green grass, all out of shade. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because the Mets are really rocking that ball, hitting those home runs over the wall. New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, uptown and down. Let's go Mets! That's the cheer all over New York town. Meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Head for the park and greet the Mets. Hot dogs, green grass, all out of shade. Guaranteed to have a heck of a day because the Mets are really rocking the ball, hitting those home runs over the wall. Long Island, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Queens, uptown and down. Let's go Mets! That's the cheer all over New York town. Meet the Mets. Let's go Mets!
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific. I didn't start that good. Let's try this again. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut. And we are back here in New York City. Holy crap. It's on camera. On camera again. So here we are, folks. Talking about the Mets. First day of free agency. Going to have a guest on. Going to have Jim Riley from BALLCAP Sports. He's not going to be on long. He's got to go on another show after this, but he's going to come on, and he has a breaking story. He's got, a big story. that he has under his cap, and he posted it on Twitter. I don't think he's done a video on it yet, but boy, oh boy, it is explosive. It'll rock the National League East. Not with the Mets, but with the Atlanta Braves. But he's going to come in here around 8:30. He's going to be in here for like 15 minutes. Because like I said, he's going on another show. And welcome to the channel. Welcome to my show. Let me get into the chat. Hello, Thor. Hello, Roberto. Steve Strength 516. Legendary Watermelon. Legendary Watermelon. My second favorite name I've seen so far in the last 6 months. The other guy is a chicken sandwich guy. And my buddy Roberto, a member of the channel. A couple things about the Mets today. Obviously, it's the first day of the free agent signing. And the Mets have given qualifying offers to Jacob deGrom, as you would know that they were going to do that. Brandon Nimmo and Chris Bassett. So the three of them got qualifying offers, meaning that they have about 7 days to accept it or decline it. They're all going to decline it. And if they accepted, they would have gotten like $19.65 million for this year. And they're going to decline it. Now, the interesting thing was Taijuan Walker did not get a qualifying offer. He did not get one. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what the Mets plan to do with him over the next couple of weeks and months before, we'll see where he gets signed. But that's going to be an interesting situation to keep an eye on. Also, Terrence Gore, the postseason guy, the guy who just does nothing but run and steal bases. He has unfortunately been put on I don't know if they DFA'd him or they released him, but he's a free agent. So he's not going to be here. All right. So what's going on now? Legendary Watermelon wants to know what's going on. Well, it's very quiet right now. Other than that, we had the general manager meetings. Mothman Evolved, how are you? But we had the general manager meetings. And the big rumor, which will be coming up in a few minutes from Ronald Acuna, is I can't get into it. I want him to tell us. But we have some things going on here with the Mets. They have to put their pitching staff together, which reminds me, they have, fortunately or unfortunately, picked up the option on Carlos Carrasco. I am not the biggest fan of his. But they have a lot of holes in their rotation. 4 holes in the rotation is a lot. And the Mets have 11, and the hut means 11 free agents, which really is a lot for one team. And they only gave qualifying offers to 3 of them. They did, however, as well as pick up the option on Cookie. I don't like calling grown man Cookie. I don't know about you. I can't call a grown man Cookie. But they gave Cookie his option. And also they've given Daniel Vogelback, he's got an option. I think it's $1.2 million. It's not a lot of money. It tells me that they're probably going to be looking for a right-handed bat to be a DH coming up. This team needs amongst the fact that they need to rebuild this pitching staff from the bullpen. After Edwin Diaz, we all knew Edwin Diaz was going to come back. But between Edwin Diaz but more importantly, and the pitching staff, this team needs more offense. They need more power on this team. I'm going to assume that they're going to be looking for a right-handed bat. Okay, at least a DH. I'm not very high on Jose Abreu. I don't know how much he has left. He did not have a good year. And JD Martinez has back problems. And he didn't have a good second half. So that is interesting. Let me go through some of the qualifying offers just to give you an idea of who else is going to be difficult to sign, because the Mets don't seem to want to go into this waters of giving up draft picks. Okay, we got Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson is a guy that's sort of been linked to the Mets a little bit. Chris Bassett. Xander Bogaerts, he opted out of his contract, so he's gone from the Red Sox. I would assume. Wilson Contreras. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the Cardinals. At least it's going to be interesting what kind of contract he gets with his age and stuff. Jacob deGrom, as you know. Nate Eovaldi. I couldn't believe Nate Eovaldi got a qualifying offer. That guy's a good pitcher, but I don't know if he's deserving of that. I mean, would he want to re-sign with the Red Sox? I don't think so. Kind of limits his ability to go wherever he wants to go. Aaron Judge. Well, we know what's going on with Aaron. We don't know what's going on with the Yankees. That's for damn sure. Yankees, I'll tell you, Yankees don't know what the hell they're doing. They really don't. They're in bad shape, the Yankees. Brandon Nimmo, Jock Peterson, Martin Perez, he got the qualifying offer. Anthony Rizzo, I don't know why the Yankees would do that. I know all the Yankee fans, they all love Anthony Rizzo. He's the only one that's ever won anything. Yeah, okay. They should just let him walk. He's getting up there in age. Carlos Rodon, he's going to have a rather large market fan. The Mets are going to be on him. A lot of teams are going to be in on him. Dansby Swanson, I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the Braves. But then again, they didn't sign him to a big deal. He's got a lot of flaws to his game. He strikes out a lot. Trey Turner. Now, we talked about Trey Turner earlier in the week. Or I did a video on him early on in the week. That was the big rumor on Monday, on the first day of the GM meetings. But that is really that was the biggest surprise I've heard with the Mets is Turner. Hello, Anthony. What's up, Hut? In your opinion, and you're allowed to change your mind, what is your prediction as far as the Mets catcher is opening day? Let me put this on here. Let's see. This Alvarez, he's a very driven kid. I don't think that the catcher will be outside the organization. The catcher here will either be Nito or Alvarez. Starting opening day. I just don't see them. First of all, I don't see McCann staying here. They're going to get rid of McCann. I don't think McCann's going to be here, Anthony. Be honest with you. I just don't see that happening. I think they want to get rid of that money. I don't think that Buck was all too happy with his defense. I don't think the Mets were all too happy with his defense. I know he's got a great arm, but if he's not going to be good at blocking the plate, if he's not going to be able to just be a solid catcher, then we have a problem. Legendary Watermelon, would you like Haniger since he didn't get a qualifying offer? He's had some injuries in his career. I would think about it. You could put him in as DH and put him in the outfield. John Infante, Alvarez is not ready for prime time. Please no McCann. All right. So you want Tomas Nido to catch? Because they're not going to sign Wilson Contreras, John. They're not going to do that. That makes no sense. Because Contreras is going to want 4 years. Do you want to sign him for 4 years? And I don't know if you want to do that. And he's not. I know he's a two-way catcher. He's okay as a catcher. He's probably better than McCann in a lot of ways, but I don't know if that's something you want to do. But he see what the Mets did. It was very unfair to what they did to him in September. In September he had this injury. And to his ankle, which he got surgery for after the season. But it seems like, he probably should have came up before that. They probably should have brought him up in the beginning of September. As soon as he looked like he was okay with that injury, they should have just brought him up. They put him in an unwinnable situation. They played him in Atlanta, and it really wasn't any reason to do that. Yeah, there was no reason to do that. They just put too much pressure on him, and then they drop him in Atlanta. And let me tell you, he wasn't that intimidated against the Braves. He had a couple, especially in that first game, he missed a couple pitches in that at bat. And I think the last at bat he had when he had I think it was in the sixth inning, he had a couple pitches in that inning that he could have really just hit a ball 20 miles. And he knows he missed a couple pitches in that game. And I think it probably burns, spur under his saddle a little bit. Anthony. Let's see. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Hut. Do you think some type of problem trade will take place involving McCann, whether it's for Steven Matz from the Cardinals or Madison Bumgarner from the Diamondbacks? Well, it's funny you should mention that. I did videos specifically on them. I did a video on James McCann about Bumgarner about 3-4 weeks ago. And I did a video on Steven the other day, I think Sunday, which did really well. I can't believe how well that video did. So you need to check that out, Anthony, if you haven't. That was sort of the rumblings. I guess John Heyman posted, put out a little blurb in an article mentioning how the Cardinals will be looking for a catcher. Here's a little rumor. Seems that the Mets are a little interested in Andrew Heaney. See where did he pitch for the Braves? The Dodgers last year. Andrew Heaney. Yes, he pitched for the Dodgers, left-handed. Let's see. I guess he's 4-4, 3.10 ERA. Interesting. Is he a free agent? He's a free agent. Interesting. Interesting how the Mets would view him. He's not pitched a lot of innings in his career, but that's an interesting name. Interesting name. And of course, please like this video and subscribe. Get some kind of rumors here a little bit. Sorry about that, folks. From Michael Mayer, who mentioned this thing about Trey Turner the other day. He posted something. The Mets have scouted Kodai Senga. Let me see if I can get this other name right. Masataka Yoshida. And both could make sense for their needs this offseason. Senga is a hard-throwing, right-handed starting pitcher with a nasty splitter and forkball. Yoshida is a on-base percentage, low strikeout corner outfield with good pop. Now, I read an article about the two of them. The guy that would interest me is Yoshida because you could probably bat him leadoff. And he could probably take over for Brandon Nimmo if Nimmo walks to go to greener pastures. So just play some more money, more money, more years. From the Mothman Evolved. I feel like I got to announce your name, Mothman. I hate to say this. I feel like we are going small this offseason. Hope I'm wrong. Well, I don't know. There, Mothman. I think that the Mets have an interesting. They don't have to go big this offseason. The biggest issue is filling out this rotation and filling out the bullpen. Bullpens, year to year, they're constant. Hey, maybe they get Jeurys Familia back. No, I'm just joking. But you have a situation with the Met rotation that's got to be filled. The Mets pretty much have a lot of stars on their team as everyday players. They don't have much of a pitching staff right now. And they're going to be a younger team. But they're certainly going to be really good again. But, what kind of play are you talking about there, Morphman? You talking about Verlander? That's a possibility. Vegas has odds on him. that he could be somebody that the Mets could look at. Vegas is putting them as the favorites to be signed. Maybe they bring back Jacob deGrom. That's a big move. Bringing back Brandon Nimmo's a big move. The MLB Network is kind of like losing it. They said that there's a possibility that if the Yankees don't sign Aaron Judge see, this is the thing about Aaron Judge. The Mets aren't going to sign him unless the Yankees sort of walk away, clean their hands, and walk away. They're going to do that, but with the Yankees, they're so dysfunctional. I can see them screwing that up. And if that happens, I think the Mets would jump on it. If they felt that the Yankees have given up, they'll jump on them. They'll jump on them pretty quick. And if they do that, they don't really need to bring back Brandon Nimmo. Judge is going to hold up a lot of these players. I mean, he's going to hold up the outfielders for a while, especially Brandon Nimmo specifically. Brandon Nimmo's not going to sign until Judge signs. He's going to hold up the whole entire free agency for a lot of players. Anthony, any interest in Verlander if Jake walks? I think they already have. They might have interest in him now. Even if they sign Jacob, I think they would definitely think about signing Verlander. I think Verlander would like to come to New York. I think he wanted to come here last year, or the year before, whatever. But he didn't get signed. We're going to go through a couple of these players once BALLCAP gets here. He should be here any minute. He's going to have an unbelievable, rumor that you won't believe. I don't believe it. That he's been posting on Twitter. And hopefully he'll talk about it. Now, in the meanwhile, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Let me just check to see any new rumors, anything. Now, of course, please like this video if you haven't already. And I'll be back again tomorrow, just to let you know. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have a Hum Baby Baseball. And he's a big Giants YouTuber. And I was on his show back in March. And I did a preview of the Mets season. So I've been wanting to have him on for a while as a thank you. As a thank you for having me on back then. And I can't wait to have him on here. He's a lot of fun. He's very interesting. But, I was thinking about this. I haven't really talked much about it. And that's the World Series. Could anybody have gotten it wrong? Oh, my God. With the Phillies getting into World, it's so weird about the Phillies getting into the World Series is because they look so bad during the season. They look so bad during the season, and you had a situation where they played terrible defensively. They looked the bullpen was not great against the Mets at times. And how the hell did they get there? And then irony of ironies, two of the guys that lose games in the World Series pitch for the Mets. All the old Mets. Wheeler and Noah. From Anthony. You think Marte can play center field if Nimmo goes? So he's going to have to. Unless they bring in a center field. Now, John Pearson's an interesting case. But he's more of a corner guy, isn't he? He's more of a corner guy than anything else, right? So I don't know. Marte's a good player, but he can't play like 160 games. He can only play like 120 games this rate in his career. And he's dealing with some kind of like injury to, I guess, his core, his stomach or something. But interestingly enough, Nimmo, He's going to have so many teams. Let me go through the teams with Nimmo. He's got a lot of teams on him. This is just some of the teams. The Mets, the Rockies, the Mariners, the Giants will be in on him. The Rangers, the Tigers, and the Red Sox. The thing about Nimmo is going to take forever to sign. I don't think Aaron Judge is going to take that long, but a lot of the market's waiting on him. Did you see that Robert Suarez got a 5-year contract from the Padres? This guy did nothing, and the Padres signed him to a 5-year contract. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why would they ever do that? I know the Padres, they always seem to have a good bullpen, but geez, why would you sign anybody to a 5-year deal like that? You don't sign any reliever to a 5-year deal. What's Rafael Montero going to get? Who's bad for a long time in the majors. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. But that was a big surprise tonight when I saw that, as well as this breaking trade rumor that's going around. But it's weird that the Phillies they had 87 wins. They were only 5 games better than they were in 21. So in 21 they won 82 games, and this year they won 87 games. And they get to the World Series. How the hell do you do that? The Mets were 24 games better than they were last year. They get eliminated by the lousy Padres, a mediocre team, but the Mets can't beat them. They have a full bunch of Met killers on them. The Braves, they lose to the Phillies. When all season long the Braves embarrassed the Phillies as well as the Mets embarrassed the Phillies. It's crazy. And then of course the creme de la creme. The Yankees losing. That was one of the best things I can remember saying. That the Yankees losing again to our buddies, the Astros. And seeing that little guy running around, that little guy in second base running around, acting crazy. I have family members that absolutely positively despise him. Andy Kilmeyer from the Rays. My problem with him is he can catch the ball, but not really hit. Anybody from the Rays, you stay the hell away from anybody from the Rays. Anyone from the Rays, and the Rays give up on you, or they don't. The fact they didn't re-sign him tells you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. All right, folks. Got my guest in here. Let's go.
What's up? What's up? Huh?
What's going on there, Jim?
Just another busy day in baseball land.
Oh, forget about it. It's going to be crazy. So I know you don't have much time.
That's good.
So let's get into it. Now, I was sort of mentioning this, and you didn't. I don't know if you've done a video on it. Why don't you tell us about Ronald Acuna Jr.?
Yeah, I have a source that is close to the Braves organization, close to a couple people in the Braves organization that learned that what was brought up, and he actually knew this before it was even brought up on High Heat today. He told me this morning, and I kind of sat on it, but that the Braves are indeed interested in potential. Well, I don't want to say interested. Got to get the wording right? But they are indeed open to the possibility of trading Ronald Acuna Jr. And now I say Braves, and I say Alex Anthopoulos, because Alex Anthopoulos is receiving pushback from around the organization. There are those that believe that it would hurt the franchise, that it would just really fire up the fan base in a negative way, which I have experienced on Twitter. So Braves fans are not very happy with me right now, but this is something that's out there. It was brought up on High Heat, and it's fascinating how it was brought up on High Heat, because what I have, here's what I know. Billy Ripken knows at least one of the individuals that is my source's piece of it, where my source got his information from. Billy Ripken knows that person. So today, Matt Vasgersian was, putting his best reporter face on with Billy Ripken and asking him questions about the whole Acuna thing, the contract thing, all this and all that about Acuna. And now people think that I have taken that and run with that as a source, which is it's coincidental that it all came through today. But I think that there's wheels in the motion. Does not mean it's going to happen, but there are some things in motion that if AA decides that he wants to do it, that he's going to do it. I think that the Dansby Swanson signing will play a major role in this. So, we'll sort of track what happens with Dansby and go with it. But Acuna, there's just something there. There's something there, and those around. I've actually had another person since I put my post up on Twitter reach out to me who is connected to the front office. He works. We'll say he works close to the front office with the Braves, and that there's something going on with Ronald.
Were you able to find out why they're thinking about shopping him?
What I have, and this may not be the complete story,
right?
What I have is that Ronald is that contract. He's not happy with it. The Braves love it, but Ronald, think about back when that deal got done, there was no big fanfare like, oh, Ronald Acuna, $100 million man, all of this stuff, this early in arbitration, whatever. The word was he left money on the table, and he left a lot of money on the table, right? That's what everybody was talking about. And I think he heard that. And I think he heard that after the fact. And he probably made it feel bad. But at the time, still, he had a pretty good contract. Now, fast forward, and you've got the money that they gave to Austin Riley, the money they gave to Matt Olson. And Acuna's looking at this like, that's the money I should be getting. And I don't have that. And I don't like that. And it's just, it's not helping. Now, does that mean that they will trade him exclusively on that? Not necessarily. I'm sure they're still probably trying to smooth things over. This whole thing they could smooth things over with Ronald. They could take him out for drinks tonight, get him squared away, say, look, Ronald, we'll take care of you. Give him a handshake deal and everything will be fine. And this will never bubble up. And if it's ever addressed, they'll deny it and all that, which is all perfectly fine to do because things can change. But as of 2 hours ago, this was a real thing, a real possibility. A lot of conversations have happened with other teams.
What are the teams?
Over the last few days. The teams, I will share that too, because I did put that out on Twitter. That there are 3 teams. They're all in the American League. It is the Mariners, the Orioles, and the Blue Jays are 3 teams that Alex Anthopoulos has had conversations with about trades. I don't have all the trade pieces. And even if I did, obviously those trade pieces can change because this same source gave me the Matt Olson trade back during the lockout when the only word was that the Braves had checked in on Matt Olson. I got word that the Matt Olson deal, the format was basically put together and that they were ready to go once the lockout ended. Now, it took a few days because the Braves were honestly still trying to re-sign Freddie Freeman. So they were in a holding pattern on that trade. But as soon as they realized they were not going to sign Freddie Freeman, and Chipper Jones is I put that on my channel. Chipper Jones kind of ran through the timeline that as soon as the Braves realized they weren't going to get Freddie Freeman back, that they went and pulled the trigger on the Matt Olson trade. Now, the pieces that I had that I put out there had changed. The pieces that I originally heard for that Matt Olson trade was that it would be Drew Waters, it would be Christian Pache, and a pitching prospect. And it ended up being Christian Pache, a pitching prospect, another pitching prospect, and Shea Langoliers. So Waters pulled out, was removed from the deal, and they put Shea in there. So things can change from when you hear something a month before and then when the deal actually happens.
I'm very fascinated by the Orioles taking, dipping their toe in this.
I mean,
they have so much minor league talent.
They have it, and that's the thing. When you think about it, initially, the thought is, and I got this morning, and I sat on it till this afternoon. Initially, the thought is, no way. It's not going to happen. They're not going to.
Right.
It's the face of the franchise. It's the future of the franchise. It's everybody's favorite player. It's the top 5 player in the league. You kidding me? But if there's clubhouse issues, and if you can get a haul in return of major league talent right now, stars right now, and prospects, you got to think about it if you think you have a clubhouse problem.
Right.
Freddie Freeman alluded to a clubhouse problem with Ronald Acuna Jr. after Freeman was with the Dodgers. So there's something, there's enough where there's smoke, there's a hot stove. So
it's interesting they won the World Series without him.
Right. No, I know. Right. Yes. Very interesting. But you have just this situation where the Orioles have the pieces. The Orioles could give you 1 or 2 guys that are on the major league roster right now. Now, the major league pieces that I've heard from the Orioles, I'm not totally sold on, so I don't want to give that. I think that could change. I think there's one team that they're really trying to make the deal with. But anyway, the Orioles have the pieces. When we look at the farm system that they have and what they could part with and what they have at the major league level, they could part with. The Mariners, the pitching that the Mariners have is endless, it seems. Insane. Right? Insane. They just they just went off and did that huge trade for Luis Castillo. So the farm system is not in the same shape it once was, but you could build a trade with the Mariners. You could throw, and I actually have not heard any names from the Mariners. I just know the Mariners were included. But you could throw in, Kyle Lewis was a stud until he got hurt. You could throw in Kyle Lewis if the Braves feel like he's healthy. You could throw in another major league player. You could then add in two pitching prospects, or maybe Logan Gilbert needs to be the deal. Maybe George Kirby, maybe one of those, maybe Kirby. All maybes. Again, like I said, I have not heard anything from the Mariners, but you've got the pieces there, and the Blue Jays have, I think, the most in terms of what they could give up because they've got so much talent and they've got such a deep farm system. The Blue Jays, I think, have the most that they could part with.
Right, and they've been looking to trade one of their catchers. And
and maybe that's
Travis d'Arnaud's not getting any younger.
Maybe that's built into the deal. Maybe that is something right. Like, I mean, I think Atlanta. I don't know if Atlanta would be focused on one of the catchers, but if that's something that helps push the deal over the edge, if the Blue Jays will include Gabriel Moreno in that trade, and if the Blue Jays don't feel like they could get any better for Moreno, maybe they do that. I don't know, but yeah, I think the Blue Jays have some of the best major league and prospect talent that they could throw at this thing and not really suffer.
Right. Okay. Since I got you here and you can't be here too long, I'm going to run through some players and you tell me where they're going to go.
Okay. Let's go.
All right. We'll start at the top. Aaron Judge.
My gut is that he ends up back with the Yankees. And if it's not the Yankees, I'll give you a second team. I'll say San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Jacob deGrom.
I think he ends up back with the Mets. The only thing that would change that is if the Mets make a move before deGrom signs, like if the Mets go get Carlos Rodon or something like that, or Justin Verlander. If the Mets make that move, then forget about it. But until the Mets have made a move that all of a sudden murkies up the waters to a deGrom reunion, I'm going to stay on the deGrom fence for now. Obviously, things could change, and the Braves could come into play. The Dodgers could come into play. I mean, a ton of teams could come into play for deGrom, but I'll stick with the Mets for now.
Okay. Carlos Correa.
Carlos Correa. Boy, that's fascinating. Oh,
that's a tough one.
I've been saying forever that I cannot see a world where he ends up in New York or LA. And I'm going to stay there for now, where I don't see him in New York or LA. I think he ends up back in the Midwest, either Minnesota or Chicago. And if I had to pick one, I've been saying it forever, so I'll stay on it until it doesn't happen. I'll say Cubs.
Okay. Trey Turner.
I keep going back and forth between the Dodgers and the Phillies. And the only reason why I keep going to the Dodgers is because I can't see a world where the Dodgers don't get one of the top 10 free agents. And with my whole prediction path, if I take Trey Turner off the Dodgers, then there's a real chance that, as far as my thinking goes, that the Dodgers do get blanked in the top 10. I have the Dodgers as my official prediction, but I am so ready to jump to Philadelphia. And I said it in my prediction video that I was thinking Phillies, but I'll stick with the Dodgers for this minute, but I am this close to changing.
Right. Justin Verlander.
I think he goes back to Houston, but Houston may look at this thing and say, well, you need us more than we need you. So why would we give you a 3-year deal at this point when we have all of the pitching that we already have? But I think that there's probably a way. You know, the GM situation has to get fixed. We need to figure out who the GM is in Houston, right? We don't know if it's going to be Jimmy Click or who it's going to be. But I will say again, I'm on the record saying Houston, so I'll stick with that. I'm not ready to change from that just yet.
Okay, Dansby Swanson.
My official prediction is San Francisco, and I'm going to stay with that for now because, again, my first prediction for Judge is the Yankees. And I feel that Dansby, if he was going to go back to Atlanta, that deal would have been worked out before it got to this point. So I will say that Dansby ends up in San Francisco. Dansby Swanson is sort of the not second place prize to Judge, but because he's still a very good player, but he's where they go to after Judge is off the board and Turner's off the board and those guys.
Okay. Since this is a Mets chat, I'm going to ask you, this is the last name I'm going to give you, is Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, Brandon Nimmo.
That's a tough one. He's got a lot of teams on him.
You've got Colorado on him. You've got
Mariners.
Seattle on him. So what's interesting is the Mets gave him the qualifying offer. That means that the door for Seattle and Colorado stays open. It closes for a team like the Dodgers. Let's say if the Dodgers wanted to ever fall to Nimmo because of the penalty that the Dodgers would have to pay for Nimmo, I don't think is great enough. I think you would pay that penalty for one of the top shortstops, but for a center fielder who has only played a full season 2 times out of 7 years, I would pump the brakes on giving up 2 draft picks and $1 million of international draft money. Because then also once you go in on Nimmo, if you want to go in on another one, you got 2 more picks coming. You could lose 4 picks if you sign 2 of those guys.
Right.
If you're the Dodgers. So I think so it makes it more likely for a Seattle chance because Seattle did not cross over the threshold. And they actually received revenue sharing. So they pay the smallest penalty. The Mariners do. I'll say, after all this, I'm going to go back to, I think he goes back to the Mets. I just feel like his value is higher there. And I think that is his best. I think that's the best place for him to go. Colorado, Colorado's trying to build something there, but they're not there yet. And Seattle could do it, but I don't know why, but it just feels like, I feel like if it becomes between New York and Seattle, between the Mets and Seattle, and Cohen is in this thing, Cohen will just will overpay for Brandon Nimmo, overpay Seattle. Because here's the thing about the Mets. When we talk about those penalties that are associated with because the penalties are steeper if you went over the luxury tax penalty, and they get a little bit less if you sort of lived in the middle, and then they're kind of minimal, 1 pick if you received revenue sharing. The Mets last year did not sign any of the players that had a qualifying offer penalty. They did not sign any of those players.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. They signed Scherzer, who did not have one because he only played the last couple of months with the Dodgers. They went Canna, who surprisingly did not get one from Oakland. They went Starling Marte, who also had been traded, could not attach one to him. So they signed a bunch of players that did not sign. So was that on purpose, or was that just a coincidence?
Probably on purpose. The way
I'll go. Exactly. I'm going to go right down the middle on that. Maybe it was on purpose, maybe it was coincidental, but I think you could argue either way. So based on that, I feel like you've got a situation where the Mets will look at Nimmo. I look at Nimmo as he's in the top 10 in terms of free agents that are out
Right.
there. So you lose him, you get worse. You bring him back, you at least stay where they were a good team last year. You won 100 games. I know it didn't go as far as you wanted to, but the team was great last year. Bring as many of those pieces back as you can. I think Nimmo is one of the centerpieces for that. And when you look at how much they would have to spend in terms of penalties, because they are a team that went over the luxury tax penalty, Nimmo would be a great. It's not addition because he was there last year, but he would be a great get.
Yep. Well, I want to thank Jim from BALLCAP Sports for coming on. Thanks for coming on again today.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. This is fun. I love coming on and talking with you. I know I had a tighter time window this time, but I do. I'm glad we could hook
That's
up
fine.
And talk.
That's fine. I'm just glad you came on tonight. So
yeah, man. No problem.
Thank you, and have a good night. And I'm going to stay on here after. So.
All right, you too. See you, buddy. Have a good one.
Bye. You too. That was Jim. I'm going to go off the camera for a minute. So that's Jim from BALLCAP Sports. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to have another guest on tomorrow. I'm going to have Hum Baby Baseball on tomorrow. So he's a lot of fun. He's a character. Not as much of a character as I am or used to be, but he's going to be good. And I'll have him on and talk about the Giants a little bit and what he thinks is going to happen in free agency. So, big news tonight. This big rumor today that he broke a little while ago about Ronald Acuna Jr. So this is, I think, the first time I broke like a story on YouTube with somebody. So I have to change the name of this live stream. But yeah, so that's an interesting rumor about the Braves. And if this is the kind of stuff you like, you want to subscribe to this channel and just follow along. I do daily videos every day. I do those little short videos. And I go back and forth with my subs, so there's a lot of debate here, believe it or not. So let's see. Roberto, he doesn't deliver under pressure, and he proved it when Marte was out. His average went down 40 points in the month of October. Doesn't deserve I guess you're talking about Nimmo. Nimmo had a good 3 games against the Padres. Roberto. Let me just check my. Let me just take my headphones off. I'll do my regular. Take the microphone out. Hold on a second. Okay. The Markman says, I predict the Mets will get someone's 8th bullpen. I'm joking. Let's go, Mets. Yes. Follow the hut. Sub to the hut. Or the morph will send you to the outer limits. Or I'll send you to the Phantom Zone, whichever comes first, by the way. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get as many guests on here as I can. I tried to get a radio personality on here last night, but he didn't write back to me. Guess I'm not big enough for him. Maybe he's heard my complaint about him. Tried to get him on. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll have Eric from Hum Baby Baseball on, and we'll talk about basically the same things we talked about tonight. Hope we'll have a signing. There've been some little trades here and there, but anything major to really what I'll whistle with. Neither with the Mets. Now, a couple of things with the Mets. They picked up the option with Carlos Carrasco. They signed, well, not signed, but they I think picked off waiver some pitcher from the Blue Jays yesterday. They gave qualifying offers to Jacob deGrom, Chris Bassett, and of course, the hell's his name? Brandon Nimmo. I remember when the Mets drafted him, everyone was calling him Nemo, including myself. And he's like, no, it's Nimmo. Okay, just saying. But so we have these 3 guys that have qualifying offers. So if they sign elsewhere, the Mets will get, I think, 2 draft picks, I think. At least 1 draft pick. The Mets don't seem to be, the rumor is they don't seem to be wanting to pick up anybody with a qualifying offer attached to them. And that's interesting in and of itself because they didn't do that last year. They're really trying to build this farm system up. They did a great job in the draft last year. This past summer. So it'll be interesting to see where they go for the draft next year. They'll have like the 27th pick, the 28th pick, depending if they don't pick up a qualified offering player. So let me just go over again players that could be interested in terms of with the qualifying offer. Now, of course, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. So let's see. Tyler Anderson, I heard him earlier today. Nate Eovaldi, I can't believe Nate Eovaldi got a qualifying offer. I don't know what the hell the Red Sox are doing. The Red Sox are a mess. Man, they're a disaster. Jock Peterson, I know the Mets, people have been talking about him a little bit with the Mets. Martin Perez, he's probably going to resign. He's probably going to resign with the Rangers. But I would look into him. Carlos Rodon's another guy that Mets should look into in case they lose Jacob deGrom. And obviously, I'll mention Trey Turner because he was mentioned earlier in the week with the Mets. Let's see. There's a little rumor about the Royals. Royals looking to acquire a right-handed bat, open the deal from Major League Baseball to clear payroll space, of course. Interesting. So again, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. All right, let me just go through a couple things here. So the big news here, there's a big rumor about Ronald Acuna Jr. possibly getting moved because he's disgruntled about his salary. Let's see. Some John Heyman, he's talking about the Giants with Judge. That seemed to be the big team with Aaron Judge is the Giants. With Trey Turner, the Phillies and the Dodgers. But I don't know. I don't think he'll fit in with the Mets. But yeah, he probably wants to play shortstop. Carlos Correa. They mentioned the Twins. He mentions the Twins here. Let me just read you what he has here about Jacob deGrom. The market seems pretty limited, as the belief is he's seeking to beat former Mets teammates Max Scherzer's record deal, and he scores low for reliability, having played only one full season over the past two. He told the Rangers he likes them. But Zach Wheeler said he liked the Mets too. Feels like the Mets are willing to pay a fair wage, say $35 million a year. But if he wants to break the bank, he can break someone else's bank. Oh, that might be a possibility. Justin Verlander. While the Yankees were hopeful last year, they could lure his big-time performer and his model wife, Kate Upton. You can't mention him without his wife. They were discouraged when he took the same per-year salary to return to Texas. Going back again to the champion Astros is a nice option. And I like that GM. He seems to have a rapport with the owner. That's not good. Xander Bogaerts. They mentioned the Dodgers and the Cubs. I've heard the Yankees too, but I don't think the Yankees are. I don't know what the hell the Yankees are doing. Like I said, it's Dansby Swanson. They mentioned the Braves. The Braves believe they have opened with an in-season offer of about $100 million. And while the Georgia native would presumably love to stay, that doesn't feel like it's in the ballpark. One common guess heard down here is $140 million to stay home, which is the same pay both Javi Baez and Trevor Story got. Now, I told like I said earlier, but having a ball cap on, he mentioned this thing about Ronald Acuna. If Acuna gets traded, and there's a possibility now, then they'll probably re-sign Dansby Swanson. I'm not a big fan of Acuna. I didn't say it to Jen, but I'm not a big fan of him. Southern Cal Mets fan. Acuna is a bum and should blame himself and his agent for signing. I mean, really, you sign a contract, you stick to it. Carlos Rodon. The Rangers are playing at the top of the market and still only 30. I mentioned the Giants and the Dodgers. All right, Brandon Nimmo. He timed his free agency perfectly, having just completed his best season in qualifying for Freedom at a time. The next best center fielders are Adam Duvall and Kevin Killmeyer, both off rough seasons. The Mets are in, however, but Boris said a majority of teams have checked, and the Rays are one interesting one. I don't see him going to the Rays. Okay. Rays going to give him 7 years. I'm telling you, he's going to want 7 years. That agent's going to want 7 years. Okay. And like BALLCAP was saying when he was here, his most value is to the Mets above all the other teams, to be honest with you. That's the team that values him the most is the Mets. It's not the Phillies, not the Mariners. The team that values him the most and know him the best are the Mets. Will he come back here? Maybe I would say 55, 40. I'm not a betting man, but I'd say 55 to 45 he comes back to the Mets. That's really it. 55-45. To be honest with you. I think Chris Bassett has a better chance coming back to the Mets than Brandon Nimmo does. And I also think that Taijuan Walker, even though I like him, and I like what he's done here for 2 years, I don't see him coming back. Because he's going to want 3 years on a contract, 4 years, maybe. And I don't know if the Mets value him as highly, say, as I do. Or as maybe some other team does. Because this is probably the most consistent he's played and pitched in his career, is the last 2 years with the Mets. He hasn't really had any big injuries. He dealt with that sort of dead arm in the second half last year. But he's pitched really well for the Mets, and he's performed really well. But they did not have him on the postseason roster until Rodriguez hurt his arm. He's a free agent too, by the way. So I don't expect him to come back to the Mets. I do expect them to talk to Brandon Nimmo as well as Michael Conforto. They're going to talk to Michael. I can guarantee you that. Especially if they lose Nimmo, because then they can just put him in right field and put Marte in center. You know what I'm saying? I'm not exactly, optimistic on. I really don't want Michael back here. To be honest with you all, that's the one guy I really don't want to see back in the Mets uniform. He's a very frustrating player. He's not as frustrating as Steven Matz, but I can accept taking Steven back if I can get rid of James McCann. That's the one thing I can say. I can handle getting James McCann out of here. If you tell me, all right, the Mets are going to trade James McCann, but you got to take Steven Matz back, I'll bite my tongue on it, but I can always flip Steven to someplace else because he's a pitcher. That I will say. I don't know what you think in the chat. You're awfully quiet. But that'd be something I would consider. But I don't know what you would think. I know it was not popular last year when the Mets came close to signing him. And at the last minute, he backed out of it. I know a lot of people were not happy about that. That's the only time last offseason when I lost a ton of subs because I talked about them signing him. People were so mad they took it out on me. I'm just reporting it. I'm not for it. But hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight because I actually had a good time with having somebody come in here. It's great to talk to somebody. But we'll have a live stream tomorrow night. I'll be on 7. Home Baby Baseball will be on, hopefully. Been wanting to have him on for a while. On Return the Favor because he was on here last year. And he's an interesting guy. He's very entertaining. And And we could talk about the Wilmer Flores having gotten that contract with them. Signed a 2-year. He signed a 2-year extension with them. You believe that? I couldn't believe that. I really wanted the Mets to get him right before the trading deadline. But, oh well. Well, I want to thank you all for coming by and in the live stream. Hector Ferreira Jr. Let's see what he has to say. He's a new person. I want to see the Mets sign bullpen help, hitting and pitching. Oh, that's what the off season's for, man. And welcome to the channel. I've not seen you before. Hopefully that's what they'll do. They're definitely going to do that. They re-signed. They'll re-sign Carlos Carrasco today. They're bringing back Vogelback. I learned that a couple of days ago. Hopefully. And then, of course, they brought back Timmy Trumpet and Edwin Diaz. He's coming back on a 5-year deal. So we'll get sick of Timmy Trumpet in about 2 years. I know I will. I love that song now, but, going to play that thing. I'm going to be hearing that in my sleep for the next 5 years, including all of us, too. He better pitch well. But he's coming back. So it's about filling the back end of this bullpen now. They need to fill the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning now. They need a real lefty in that bullpen. Finally bring in Andrew Chafin. He didn't have a qualifying offer attached to him. Don't let him walk away again and go to some bad team. Get him. It's only going to cost you a couple $1 million for him. And he's pitched well the last 2-3 years. There's no reason not to bring him in. Obviously. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got a little news here. This is a news night. Look at this. Clayton Kershaw went back to the Dodgers. That's no surprise. Ken Rosenthal, another guy from Munchkinland. Well, he can't leave the Dodgers. He has to stay with the Dodgers. All right, he should not play for any other team in his career. And I asked Jim what he thought. I think I asked him. Did I ask him about him? So he's gone back to the Dodgers. Yeah, I couldn't see him going anywhere else but to the Dodgers, He should just finish his career there. And just go on 1-year deals. Well, don't even bother doing any of this stuff. Well, that's good. You don't want to see great players go to other teams, at the end of their career. Just stay with their team. And he's pitched pretty good in big spots the last few years. He hasn't been a disaster like he was before that. So that's good. That's good for them. I don't care. For myself, I don't think you care. Those are all Met fans here. But for baseball, that's good. There's no reason for him to go pitch for the Texas Rangers. It's very similar to Jacob. It's like David Wright going to play for the Phillies. God forbid that happened. Or the Orioles. I'll tell you, the Orioles are going to keep an eye on them. Because they went 83 games this past year? They got a shot. They got a big-time catcher back there. He really made a big difference for them. Best catcher in the American League. He might be the best catcher in baseball. That quickly. And he's going to put them in a big position. They need to get some offense in that. They need to get a big offensive player on that team. To round that lineup out. And maybe a veteran starter in there. They don't need to do a whole heck of a lot, the Orioles. But that idea that Acuna could go there, that's interesting. Because they have a lot they can trade, Obviously, they drafted Matt Holliday's kid. So they have some depth at shortstop. Although I don't see them moving Gunnar Henderson right now. That's interesting. Let's see here. Any more rumors? John Jay. You would care about John Jay being the first base coach for the Marlins? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Interesting. I love to see other fans of other teams have like these meltdowns, and I guess all the Braves fans are having meltdowns. Hector says this: Verlander's good, but the Mets should not sign him long term since he's about in his 40, but should sign Rodon and try to make a trade to the Reds for Edwin Diaz's brother would be first of all, nobody's signing Verlander for more than 1 year because of his age. And you're gonna have to give a blow for Edwin Diaz's brother, and he's a reliever. So relievers can be hot and cold. So there's a little risk there with Edwin Diaz's brother. Rodon, I could be swayed to sign him, even if the Mets bring back Jacob deGrom. Now, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And live stream momentarily. Just changing the title of this video. So. And again, I would expect that we again tomorrow. We're going to have Hum Baby Baseball on tomorrow. From Mario, would love to get Trey Turner. He's a great all-around player that the Mets desperately need. Well, I don't think he's coming here. I know the Mets are interested in him. I don't necessarily see his thing, but no one's really talked about it other than myself, as far as I know, is that with these new rules coming into play next year, pitchers are not going to be allowed to throw the first more than 2 times. So a guy like Trey Turner, his stolen base total is probably going to go up. If he's not hurt with his legs, his stolen base total is going to explode. And a lot of players that don't steal bases are going to be able to steal bases because you can't throw over more than 2 times. Okay? That's going to be huge. Now, we know with the Mets, they were running a lot more this year than they had been in the past. So that was something new with the Mets anyway, because they really weren't a team that stole a lot of bases. But this year they stole a lot of bases for them. But if you can't throw over more than 2 times, the base stealers that used to steal bases, that don't steal bases, are going to be stealing bases now. So that's the one thing Trey Turner has that would be good for this lineup, and any lineup really, is the ability to steal bases and really put the defense on its heels, Well, thank you all for coming by. I'll be back again tomorrow. Be back again on Saturday. Not sure what time yet. Sometime during the day. I don't think in the evening. Probably during the day. And of course, I'll be back. Regular live streams. You got to keep out for it. Most of them should be at night. And I want to thank you all for coming by. Plenty of videos coming up. I don't know what we're going to have later. I might not have a video for later. But we'll definitely have videos tomorrow and a live stream. And have a good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Jim from BALLCAP. And I'll see you later.